Hey folks, it's me Rena over at Snailworks Crochet, and today's video I am going to be participating in a shawl swap for 2026. So how this all got started, a friend of the channel, Mary over at Slow Crochet, we've been YouTube mutuals for over a year or so, and last year she hosted a shawl swap with creator Janna. Basically, it's exactly as you expect it to be. Think Secret Santa, but you make shawls for each other. And I kind of love that, honestly. And so this year she reached out to me and asked if I was interested. And I said, you know what, why not? So yeah, I'm going to be participating in the shawl swap this year. So Mary had just sent out the email gathering information, and I was like the last person to put in any information about my shawl preferences. I would like one for more formal events, and I think that's what I put in my would like preferences thing of would wear to formal events. So as I'm filming this right now, I do not know who my recipient will be, and I'm sure I'll find out later, but so I don't have the pattern picked yet. I did some brief browsing through Ravelry, started like putting patterns in my queue. I'm not very good at using Ravelry, so all the things I make, I never actually put in there. For now, I need to at least narrow down some patterns. As I film this right now, I'm a little bit in a hurry up and wait mode of who my recipient will be, and I'm really excited to find out who that will be. Okay, so I just got an email of who my recipient for the shawl swap is. It is Connie from Connie's Crafty Corner. Let me take a couple of notes of the preferences. So on this sheet it says that her favorite colors are green, not lime, blue, sages, oranges, purples, browns. Okay, that's pretty easy. And then natural fibers, favorite yarn weight 3 and under. Sounds like she's open to anything. And then the size preference is surprise me. But the style says practical, simple. Anything else says excited to join. That at least helps me narrow down the colors. But yeah, practical and simple, I feel like that can mean anything, right? So, call simple style. Now that I kind of know who I'm going to be, you know, making this for, but let me go ahead and watch her videos just to kind of get a vibe of the kind of person she is and like maybe her style. So that way I can kind of get a feel for the vibe of shawl she wants. Because when I see practical and simple, that can be interpreted in a lot of different ways. I do interpret that, in my mind, I interpret that as like, you don't need like fancy color work. Because I've seen like mosaic crochet shawls, for example, like that's a pretty like funky style, if that makes sense. It can be practical, and I guess it could be simple, but I interpret it more as like plain color. But let me go ahead and actually watch the videos. And then the color preferences is green, blue, sages, orange, purples, brown. She says green, not lime in parentheses, and then sages. So I have a feeling it's gonna be green. I feel like something more muted just based off of these listings. But again, I'm probably gonna have to watch some videos to see the preferences. Hey folks, so I've actually went ahead and watched a couple of Connie's videos. I watched her most recent video, and I also found the video she posted about the shawl swap. In the video, she might have changed some of her color preferences compared to last year. In her video from last year, she said she really likes the fall autumn colors. Her words are that the fall autumn colors make me happy. What was also very useful was that she specifically said, I mostly wear shawls to keep me warm around the house. So that actually helps knowing what she meant by practical and simple. And here's the thing, I have like this I'm not like other girls mentality, because I don't like working on a basic pattern. Like basic patterns are good. I mean, obviously I make 5 million granny squares, but I don't like having a project that is basic, if that makes sense. So when it comes to what I like to make, I like seeing like an interesting construction or an interesting like motif. So like for example, if I'm looking for a shawl pattern, my personal preferences of what I like to make tend to be more of those elaborate lacy patterns and stuff. I had to stop myself for a little bit and say, look, this is not for me, this is for someone else. Now, prior to me finding out who my actual recipient was, I did do a Ravelry search of shawls, and how I approached it was that on the sheet, it had everyone's preferences. And so most people kind of said, surprise me, they don't really care about what shape they wanted, but a select few did say they wanted a triangle shaped shawl. So I did try to at least narrow my Ravelry search down to triangle shaped shawls of some sort. And I queued up a bunch of shawl patterns, but there was one shawl in particular that caught my eye, not necessarily because of the elaborate design itself, but because of the construction. At the time, I wasn't like committed to it when I bookmarked it, but then I found out, who my recipient was, and then also I found out her personal style, and also just like watching her videos, I was like, no, this shawl actually might meet that category. Let me share with you the pattern I plan to use. It is a paid pattern on Ravelry. I believe it's made by a Dutch woman. It is called Spring by Bernioli Designs, or I guess Bernadette Ambergen. It is the spring shawl. I will link to it below. The thing that stood out to me about this shawl is that it has like interesting lace motifs, which I love doing lace motifs. Also fairly simple in how it's done is that there's like a common middle part, and then it increases on the sides. So it's almost like a rectangle in the middle and then two triangles kind of like growing out, which I thought construction wise was very interesting, but the design itself is very simple, yet is very elegant. Like this pattern just like ticks all the boxes of like something that's mentally stimulating for me, but also fulfills the practical but simple category of what my recipient wants. And specifically because in her video, she said, oh, I normally wear shawls to keep warm around the house, which is what she meant by practical. I think this shawl fulfills that because at least in like some of the photos I see, you can wrap it around your neck kind of like a shawl, or you can have it like a little like robe almost. I feel like it can be worn in different ways that can fulfill that keeping warm around the house piece. And it's very pretty. That is the pattern I'm going to work on. Now, in terms of the color choices, that's going to be interesting. She might have changed up her color choice preferences from last year. Supposedly last year she said she liked the traditional fall colors. If I see just the color options by myself, I'd probably think, oh, just like blue-green, whatever. But when she mentioned that she liked those fall colors, it recontextualized the choices, and I'm like, okay, so these are all technically autumn colors, if that makes sense. Including the blue, because there are some blues in autumn. I notice like in her videos of like colors she tends to wear, like just whenever she's sharing her videos, she tends to wear a lot of blues or a lot of those blue-green colors. So I was thinking like a blue or a green color, if that makes sense. I think the color for blue-green is cyan. I think that would be a good choice. So I was actually looking up autumn blue because I was thinking of those like color season things, and like there is blue in autumn, and I think there's a place for that, but like you have to look for a specific shade that like kind of emulates that, which I think is closer to that blue-green almost. Whenever I do find a yarn, I think that's the color vibe I'm gonna go for. Now, in terms of where I'm gonna get this yarn, as I'm filming this, tomorrow I will be flying to Houston to see my family for Lunar New Year, and I am thinking of checking out some local yarn stores in the Houston area, probably more in the city of Houston. I'm not driving an hour out. I want to see if I can find something within that blue-green vibe that like kind of has that autumn feel almost. Like not necessarily like the colors of autumn, but like the color season of autumn. If I could find one of those like some yarns that have that blue-green feel, but then there's like flecks of like maybe some oranges or something like that, or maybe some lavenders, that might work too. But I don't know what I don't know, and if I don't know what I'm gonna find. But the intention is I would find the yarn I need for this to be at a local yarn store in Houston. But yeah, that's my plan. Now it's time for me to go find the yarn. Hey folks, little update on the yarn acquisition. I did end up finding the yarn that I'm planning on using for the shawl swap. It is this yarn. I picked it up at local yarn store in Houston called Scout and Skein. There were definitely other yarn stores in the area, but I ended up buying the skein I needed from that. I bought 4 skeins of this, and I got one of them caked up at the store, so that way I can possibly start on it while on my travels, because I'm here for about a week, and then right after that I'm flying directly from here to my business trip, which will be another week away from yarn. This yarn is a superwash wool and nylon. It's a sock yarn, and it is machine washable according to the label. It doesn't exactly say how it's machine washable when I looked it up, but let's hope for the best. And this is Cowgirl Blues Proper Sock. You can see here in the color Celadon. I don't know if I want to start the pattern here or if I want to wait until I get home in Pittsburgh to start it, but I do have this kicked up, so maybe I could start it here. I'm still on the fence about that, but this is what I have, and I'm pretty excited to start the pattern. Little bit of an update on the shawl. I've kind of casually been working on the shawl. It's not the primary focus because I brought like 5 million other projects with me, but I have started the shawl, and this is how far I have done. It's turning out quite nicely. It's actually quite simple. I did make a couple of modifications to the written pattern, in the sense that I always prefer to start my rows with a stacked single crochet in place of the chain 3 for like the double crochet. And in the pattern, it has you switch between doing like chain 4, double crochet 2 versus like 3 double crochets, 3 double crochets, increases along the way. Pretty minor changes. And then the middle lace part is just a pattern repeat. And honestly, because there's a diagram of the lace motif in the pattern, I've just been referring to that every time I forget what the pattern looks like. But otherwise, it's a very simple pattern repeat. And it's funny because normally I like to take a work whip with me on the plane to crochet while I watch TV shows on my iPad, but I actually think it's such an easy pattern repeat that I could easily work on this shawl while on the airplane, multitasking. I like that it's easy and mindless, but also uniquely constructed, because as I said previously, I'm not like other girls. I like to work on things that are interesting. And to me, this was interesting because while it's simple, it's also uniquely constructed. It's kind of hard to see in certain lighting the color of this, because I think I mentioned that I ended up going with a solid color because I thought a little bit more about the shawl pattern, and I think it just stood out more if I were to use a plain color versus a variegated yarn. There was a variegated yarn I did see at a local yarn store that technically was the color scheme I was thinking about, but they didn't have a lot of swatches kind of showing what it looked like either crocheted or knitted up, because I was still looking for something of this blue-green base, but I wanted to see if I could find something with like specks of the fall colors. But I mean, I technically found something, but when I thought more about it, I was like, I think this would shine better with the plain blue-green color versus a blue-green base. You know, right now it looks blue because the lights here are a little dimmer, but in other lights it's more green. So because this is technically a blue-green, it still kind of is that like borderline muted blue, which kind of fits the autumn vibe while not being a direct autumn color. I still like the yarn choice. I hope Connie likes it too. I'm gonna continue working on this and I'll check back in as I work through the shawl. I know you can see the Hot Mess Express behind me right now. I don't care, but this is how far I am on the shawl. It's very pretty, and I'm about like most of the way through my first skein of yarn, and I think it's coming out very nicely. The only thing that bothers me a little bit is that kind of like bows like this, but I feel like that could be adjusted with blocking. This like blue-green color is so pretty. I'm very excited. It's truly been like an ideal like sit down and watch a show type of project, which is even better for me because I think when projects are kind of easy to work up, I'm more incentivized to finish it, despite the fact that more complex patterns are more satisfying to finish, if that makes any sense. Now, like, I started using my Clover Soft Touch hook in a 5mm because I have tight tension, but then I decided to switch to my Furls crochet hook. This is also a 5mm. The primary reason I switched to this hook actually is because there's a part on the lace work specifically where you have to crochet into your picots essentially, like right here. You can kind of see that. So it's a lot easier for me personally to just like, for lack of better words, stab at my crochet project with a inline hook versus a tapered. These types of hooks for me make it easier for me to grab at my stitches. And I know that's like the unpopular opinion of like the whole inline versus tapered, but a lot of that is probably due to the fact that I use pencil grip whenever I crochet. I made a video about my thoughts on the Furls crochet hook. I think my opinions on the Furls crochet hook have kind of stayed somewhat consistent in the sense that it's good when you need it, if that makes sense. Like, I don't normally default to it because my tension is drastically different using the Furls crochet hook versus me using any other crochet hook. But when I have committed to using the Furls crochet hook, it is useful. And a lot of it has to do with the fact that this is like nice, weighty, very smooth metal. And again, I've always preferred like inline crochet hooks overall. The only reason why I don't normally use them is because my tension is different compared to when I use tapered crochet hooks. So that's a factor. But once I guess for lack of better words, get over it, it's very useful. And especially when it comes to more like projects that require me to like get into the stitches, it's very useful. I got like 4 of these, and so at some point I'm probably going to reach a shawl fatigue where as the shawl gets bigger and bigger, I'm crocheting more and more and thinking, man, is this big enough now? But that's a future me problem, not a now me problem. But I will keep working on this. I really do like seeing how it grows. The pattern is very repetitive, which is good. I could probably do more checkups when I finish skeins and then when I get to the border. That's when it'll get a little bit more interesting. But yeah, just wants to pop in and give you an update. So I'm not gonna lie, I am almost done making the shawl. I basically had to attach the last skein of yarn that I bought, which is the 4th skein of yarn, and I have to do one more shell plus the border. But I just slapped this on right now. This is very comfortable, honestly. I don't know if I want to make another shawl of this size because this is definitely the biggest shawl I've ever made. ever, but also it's very easy and very comfortable. So I don't know. I definitely like wearing it. I don't know if I want to make it again, but I will say making this was enjoyable. And again, it's just very comfortable. I think I just really like this size of shawl, honestly. Previously, I don't think I've ever made a shawl of this size probably because I haven't been very patient with my shawl making, but honestly, this may or may not incentivize me to make another big shawl for myself personally. So, I don't know. We'll see, but I like the design so far. It's very pretty. Definitely warm. I have it draped over like this, but you can, wrap it around and all that. And it's still kind of growing, so yeah. Hello, folks. I have finished the shawl. It is very big and very pretty, and now I just need to block it. So I'm going to do that, and then I'll wrap it up and send it out. And that reminds me, I need to get Connie's address. It's funny because a couple days ago, I got reached out to by my shawl maker on my address. When she reached out to me for my address, I'm like, oh, the deadline's creeping up, isn't it? I just need to weave in this one end, which I'll probably do after I block it. And I did have enough yarn to finish it, which is good. I was a little worried because I noticed my skein was a little thin towards the end, and these shells take up a lot more yarn because this thing grew out quite a bit. But yeah, take a look. You can see the little shells here, and then the center right here. It's all very pretty. And again, it is very comfortable. So I bought blocking mats, but here's the thing. I didn't have enough for the size of the shawl. And one, I know that's on me, but I'm just gonna really hope that Connie is really tall because this thing is huge. And the wingspan of this is probably taller than me. It's done! And it is so much bigger than I anticipated, but now I need to package this up and get Connie's address. I also almost had a mini panic because this is the very first time the magic knot has failed me, so I almost had this thing unravel and I would have been really sad, but I saved it. It's good. We're good. But yeah, let me go package this up and ship it off. I have my package to Connie all wrapped up. The shipping label is printed and everything. Now I just need to drop it off at the post office, which will be tomorrow because today's Sunday. However, my package from Janna K has arrived, and as part of the shawl swap, we need to film our unwrapping of the shawls that we received. So let's do this right now. I think this is a bookmark that has information about a fiber market in North Carolina. She has all sorts of little trinkets, and I'm realizing I probably should have added some trinkets in my card, but it's a bit late now. I'm not very good at trinkets and gift giving and stuff. I think this is the yarn she used. Oh, and a cute little stitch marker right here. And I think this is one of those yarn koozies where you wrap it around your ball and then it holds things in place. Janna K has very lovely handwriting. So it looks like she made the Tendril Shawl by Carmen Hefferman, and she used the Knit Picks Stroll Effects yarn. And there's a couple of notions and stickers from the Middle Tennessee Fiber Festival, which I saw her vlog with Mary over at Slow Crochet. I know that they met up together. And yeah, let's look at the shawl. Ooh, how pretty. Look at that. Ooh, okay. I really like how light it is. Hold on for a second, I have an idea. Okay, so I changed into like a black dress, and I don't have a shawl pin, so I just used this fake flower as my intermediary shawl pin. I should probably get one. But yeah, here's a look. Here's kind of like the look I was thinking of wearing a formal shawl. So yeah, and I actually have a couple of events to go to later this year. I have 2 weddings this year. And I have this one dress, not this dress. I have an old bridesmaid's dress that I plan on dyeing a darker color. And then once I dye that a darker color, I'll pair it with the shawl and I will have my wedding guest outfit, which is great. It's what I wanted from this shawl, and I'm glad I got it. So this looks nice. I did have to look up a couple of videos on how to put on an asymmetrical shawl because I had no idea, but I do like it. It's funny because like the variegated gray effect from far away actually kind of adds to a lacy illusion from far away. It's quite interesting. Even like the shawl itself is lacy, but like the multicolored black gray is like almost like makes it seem more lacy. I don't know. It's weird. Thank you, Janna, and I'm glad you made this. Also, this yarn is very soft. It's quite comfortable, honestly. I appreciate that. But yeah, that is the end of my video for the 2026 spring shawl swap. Thank you to both Mary and Janna K for organizing this and letting me participate this year. It was pretty fun. I had a good time. And to Connie, who was my shawl recipient, I hope you like the shawl I made you. So with that, I will conclude my video here. Thank you for watching and see you in the next one. Bye!